Oh, hold on, I have to change. Come on, yeah. So this was from an event that we've been organizing in it's a cultural center in Helsinki called Oranssi. So it's a venue where you can organize different events. And the clown you saw in this video, he's called Muhammad. He's from Syria, from Homs, and he's been kind of working and volunteering with us for the last couple of years. He found us through internet, God knows how. He had read about our project in Jordan. He was like, okay, I need a circus community. And then he contacted us. And for instance, he's always like emceeing the event with me and translating into Arabic and whatever. So he's one of the people that we think that we've kind of offered him some kind of community, even though we feel that we've done quite a little. But he's going to our trainings, and he did a work placement for his Finnish course with us and that sort of thing. Generally, this event, this is for people, the residents of asylum reception centers in Helsinki that we've been working with. A reception center is not an easy place to start activities because the commitment is usually really, really weak, even though people would be interested, or they like doing stuff, but for one reason or another, you see them once and then, I don't know, you go knocking their door and they're like, I can't do this. But this event has been kind of something that we've been thinking that, okay, this works because we go and pick them up, from a few locations. We send posters to the reception center and tell them that at 6 o'clock on Monday evening there is this. And you have workshops, there are some performances, people can try out circus, meet people from the circus community, have fun, and a little bit evening.
Yeah, and it's like a safe space.
Exactly, because there is racism in Finland, so sometimes, if you want to go out or whatever, there might be, some difficulties. So we thought that it's nice to have some kind of happy, nice activities for people, and it's been good.
And here, I think we might have a few pictures, do we?
Yeah.
Here's another project we've been working on, elderly and asylum seekers together. One might think, why those two groups together? What could they have in common? Well, in Finland at least, many elderly live in elderly homes. And the asylum seekers, especially in the beginning, they live in reception centers. They live in isolated surroundings, surrounded by people like them. Really homogenic groups.
And people who work with them.
And the people that work with them, the nurses, for example, or then the workers in the reception center, but really homogenic groups otherwise. So they also don't have contact with each other. Finnish elderly don't see the asylum seekers ever. So we figured, let's get these two isolated groups together. Also, unfortunately, both of those groups often have lack of positive contact and touch. And like you all probably know, if you don't have contact with other people, if no one ever touches you, you can get sick. You can. So how do we always start those projects? First, we go to a reception center and we look for people that are interested in volunteering in an elderly home. So they have to have an interest to work with the elderly, otherwise they wouldn't be a part of this project. And we always get something between 5 and 20 people for each project. Then we have an active circus week, a whole week of activities in the elderly home. And the aims of that week are so that people get to know each other, are more at ease with each other. Also, we have realized that there might be some prejudice first. Usually always when we go to the elderly home with a group of asylum seekers, at least one of the elderly is like, who are these people? Why are they coming here? Where are they from? What are they doing here? A little bit hostile. But always at the end of the week, all that has disappeared. And they are more like, are they coming back next week? It was so much fun. So that's also one idea positive encounters and getting rid of some prejudices at the same time. Yes. Also the idea is that we activate the old people. We give some ideas for activities for the people working in the elderly home. We actually give them a little training also, so they can continue that kind of work if they want. And I know it's maybe a little bit of a cliche that, oh, immigrants, yes, let's take them and put them to work in care work. Yeah, close with people, like working close together with people. That's bus drivers, yes, care work, that it's the only options that we have. Well, we don't think about it this way. First of all, we think the main reason we do this is so that people meet each other, they have contact. And also, the voluntary work that might continue after the circus week, it's not necessarily care work. One might choose to continue with the active stuff with the elderly. We can always leave some circus equipment if they want to continue the same stuff we've been doing. Some have been performing, some want to maybe sing or play some music, maybe from their own countries. Or somebody just wants to come there and hang out and talk, learn Finnish. So all of these are possibilities, not just going to the elderly home to help out. You can also choose that, if you want to do that. So during the week, we then set the kind of boundaries for the voluntary work. And then when we leave, we just see what happens. We've done this in 5 different places so far. And in all of them, there have been at least 1 or 2 visits after we have left. But like Hanne mentioned, it's really difficult to do ongoing long-term projects with people from the reception centers because of their mindset, their life circumstances are really difficult and changeable.
Yeah, if you haven't received your asylum yet, it's kind of like, this is where your focus is at.
Yeah, and but we've had one place where it's, for some strange reason, it has been going on now for 7 months. It's been continuing after we have left. And they have managed to keep the same schedule, twice a week, 2 to 4 asylum seeker men are always going to the same elderly center to help out and do different things. Yes? Yeah. So how long did we work together with the refugees and the elderly? Okay. We worked for just 1 week, intense week. And during that week, we also had meetings with the staff of the elderly home, with the asylum seekers, to see what each side wanted, like what were the needs and the wants. And then we helped them make a schedule for the ongoing voluntary work. Otherwise, it would never continue. So we tried to make it as easy as possible to continue. And in one place, it has continued. In the others, maybe a couple of visits, and then for some reasons, it has died out. Different things. A lot of different things. So the question was it dancing, circus, or what did we do? Well, in that picture we are dancing, but we also use a lot of circus equipment, like juggling balls, do different kinds of activities. It's applied circus, mixed with probably theater exercises and games and anything that comes to our mind. Clowning, having different outfits. Yeah. We call it circus, but we think circus includes a lot of other forms of art also. Yes. As a part of this week, we did a circus show ourselves, which was like a universal story of a family, different stages of the family from different decades. Like there was a couple who fell in love and they were young, they got a baby, the family was growing older, and then at the end, one of the old people disappeared, died away. So it was also about losing your loved ones. And this show is without words, so also the asylum seekers could understand it. They didn't have to know Finnish. Always at the end of the performance, we, as a whole group, we share memories of everyone's own lives. And this was never our aim for the Circus Week, but it's been kind of like an added bonus and really emotional and touching. The memories that people share and the things that they are in common for the memories of the old people and the asylum seekers. Finland was still at war when the old people were young. They have shared memories of the war, for example. This we didn't think about before we started, that they also have this in common. Also some of the encounters were often really touching. Here's Ali from Iraq, and here's, I think her name was Ritva from Finland, and they were dancing to an old Finnish wedding waltz. They were both crying. And Ritva was looking happy. I'm always crying when I start thinking about it. Me too. I was also there. It was quite emotional also for me. They were dancing and Ritva was smiling and crying. And I thought maybe she was thinking about her youth. And Ali was also crying. And I asked him, are you okay? Like I was thinking that maybe we are bringing out some big trauma or something. He said, I'm just so happy. I miss my grandmother at home. And I think also something we've realized, many of the asylum seekers that come to this project, they've used to living with the elderly. In Finland, they're not. Often the old people haven't arrived yet, or they've been left behind. So they also miss the contact with the old people. Yeah.
Yeah. Next. One of our most long-term projects has been a suburb circus. The first one we started several years ago anyway, in a very far neighborhood, like in the greater Helsinki area. It's a neighborhood of, there's a lot of immigrants, lower income, it's really diverse, but not so many activities for youth, and particularly no free or very cheap activities. There's a youth center, which is kind of the place where the youth, the kids, gather. So obviously you go where the people are, so we would start this over there. And the aim of this is not only to learn circus, because many of these kids have not a clear idea what is a hobby actually. Because you might go outside and play football, but if you've never had a hobby, you don't know what is a hobby. So we are learning social skills, commitment. You come every single week at 4:30, and we start by doing this. You know, you might have to wait in line, all these kind of basic things, but in a very safe, accepting environment. We try to create a safe space for kids that might be, there's usually always these people who are really wild, you know, they might be the troublemakers in the school. So we try to make it a place where you can also be, even though you might be a little bit difficult. In this picture, that guy with the ball on his head, he's one of the kids that have been in the suburb circus since almost the beginning. He was 11 at the time, or 12, something like that. Silja started with him many, many years ago. Now he's 21, he's all grown up, and he is the other main trainer of the suburb circus at the moment. He also is, he's actually born in Estonia. He moved to Finland when he was like 9, I think, or something like that, beginning of primary school. But yeah, he's still there with us. And now we started also another suburb circus in Helsinki. We are still kind of struggling with it because it's also a neighborhood where, like, I think in school maybe 40% of the kids are like, Finland is their second language. So it's difficult to commit kids, but this is also in a youth center. So what we have figured out is that you need to have either a school or youth center, or in a very good case, you would work together with the school and youth center so that you can actually reach the people, the kids.
Yeah, and also to do with the suburb circus idea, like Hanne said, we work in close contact with the schools. We often do longer projects with preparational classes. Not sure if that's a correct term, but means the kids that don't yet have sufficient skills in Finnish language. Like you first go to that class, and then when you know the language better, you can go into the regular classes. Probably you have them in Sweden too. Yeah, the same. So we often have long projects in those, and the aims for those projects vary depending on who you work with. Really different aims if you have kids from Afghanistan or the United States or a mixed group. Depends. And maybe she will tell an example of one of these.
There's actually one thing I also want to mention about the suburb circus that I forgot. So it's also because, you know, you have kids, maybe, you know, your parents are unemployed or whatever, you don't have a lot of money. So we are part of many kind of youth circus networks. So we get to take the kids to circus festivals or youth exchanges. So for instance, the suburb circus, they went to London for a circus festival and they got to perform. Show the picture, actually it's there next.
Oh, it's
so
there.
This is suburb circus performing in London.
Yeah.
So,
and some of the kids, even their parents, had never been traveling abroad. So really a huge thing for them.
Yeah, so we want to give them opportunities to, if they want to commit, you actually get a reward, and also you can be an assisting teacher, and as Christian did, you know, he became the main trainer. Yeah, so about the school, one group that I worked with last year, it was a bunch of Afghani teenager boys, and with that group, according to the teacher, what we did, one of the biggest goals or achievements maybe was that it was a very natural way of kind of cultural education. So it was a group of boys, but then we usually work in like mixed gender pairs. So it's kind of natural to, you know, I'm climbing over my colleague or whatever. It's not a big deal that, okay, now I'm touching
he's standing
a man.
on your shoulders. Or...
So the teacher, she was like really happy that it was so natural for actually the boys as well, even though they come from a culture where this is not so natural. And also in this group, we had a couple of boys who were illiterate, and then the other boys were actually like they had been to school, so really different kind of backgrounds. And of course, when you're illiterate, school is really, really difficult, and you feel like, you know, you're failing because learning is difficult. You need to learn the letters. You have difficulties, but then having circus part of your school days, you actually, like this one boy, he was so smart, like a brilliant boy, but he had never had the opportunity to go to school, but he was like incredible at juggling, and yeah, they get to shine in this kind of, you know, different setting. So I think this is a very important.
Yeah, so you can also succeed in school, but in a different thing.
Yeah.
Circus.
And it might help you also with school.
Yeah. Okay, another example of this, I'll be really brief. I think we are over our time. We worked in another school with a different kind of a mixed group, all asylum seeker male, but from different backgrounds. And in that school, they had some prejudice towards the asylum seekers. So the main aim was encounters between the asylum seekers and the other Finnish students. So we taught them in mixed groups, and as the students were getting skills in circus, they were starting to teach other pupils in the break time. So they were mainly the younger kids at the school they were teaching. And also at the end of the project, we did a big performance, or the pupils were doing a big performance for the rest of the school. And we can watch this actually now. It's
a little bit
a couple of minutes. It's a very bad video. I think somebody took it with a mobile phone. And we can stop it there because...
Yeah.
Yeah. So as people were coming into the room, the audience was walking in, some of the teenage guys were like, what are these clowns doing on the stage? And they weren't referring to us. They were talking about the asylum seeker guys. You could also hear it while you were watching the performance just there. In the beginning, you could hear somebody go like bleh, or something, and the guys were walking in and they were saying like, I don't know what's this, I want to go away. But at the end of the performance, they were all like, wow, it was great. They were doing more stuff there, also like difficult things. They were impressing the other teenage guys. Yeah, so that was one idea how we could affect through circus the mindsets of the teenagers in the school.
Yeah,
that's about it.
That's about it.
Have to
yeah, maybe if you...
I was just wondering how these projects are financed.
We usually apply for funding for these projects from somewhere.
So for instance, this one, the school projects are funded by the state, but we also get quite a lot of money from private funds. So it depends, because we always like apply. Well, this was part of a national project, because the Ministry of Culture and Education, they gave extra money in 2015 when a lot of asylum seekers came. So they gave this like activity money. So this was part of that. But different, yeah.
So it's not the cities or municipalities that could finance this kind of project for their youth, for example, if they see the needs?
Maybe they could, but...
Well, for instance, now the new suburb circus is, and also both of them actually get part of the funding from the city. But the city money is like, they don't usually,
it's not very big.
In Finland, they don't give you a lot of money. So you need some, ours is like a puzzle.
Usually these are financed by many different funds.
Because you never get enough money.
Yes. I think it's Cirkör's turn.
Yeah.
There is time at the end for feedback and discussions, or maybe
we can
discuss about both of these. Thank you.
Oh,
Hi, my name is Clara Norman, and I'm the Deputy Manager of the Pedagogical Department at Cirkus Cirkör. It's a very long title. But it means that I work with all the things we do for kids, youth, and also for asylum seekers. We do have term courses, we work in schools, we do circus at the youth club, we work with the municipality with lots of activities, because Botkyrka municipality, where we are situated, is actually putting a lot of money into schools and social circus. With that said, Finland is so far ahead of us in both youth circus and social circus that we cannot be compared on the same day. But we learn a lot from you. And hopefully in a couple of years we will have a pedagogical education together with some Finnish circus schools and the University of Tampere. Cirkushoppet, Dream, Laugh, Dare. This project came to me at the end of 2014 when one of our most talented and trusted pedagogues came to me and said that there is a refugee center out in the woods. The kids have nothing to do. There is no color, there's no posters, no activities whatsoever. We should go there and have circus training with them twice a week. Great, I said, and started writing applications. And they were turned down. We were too big, there were too few kids living at this place, they wanted us to work for free, because we always work with people who are paid. We don't work with volunteers. These are highly trained, skilled, educated circus teachers. They don't work for free. It's the way they make their living. And we continued to talk about this project, me and Isak, who came with this idea, and we said we should be there twice a week, we should leave material for them, we should make some kind of manual so that they could continue training themselves, and I continued to apply, and was turned down so many times. And then my colleague and my boss Anna, who had worked a lot with Clowns Without Borders, Sweden, said, what if we should do it together with the clowns? They have all the knowledge from the refugee centers and from the real thing. They have been to Jordan, they have been to Greece. They go to these places and they do their shows and they do training. What if we would take these two organizations and apply together? So we talked to the clowns and they thought it was a great idea. And we made a huge application to Postkodlotteriet. There's no English word for that, but Postkodlotteriet. And really, I'm against lotteries, but when you see what Postkodlotteriet does, you just want to buy lotteries tickets because they do so many great things. We decided, in the application, we said that we would come to 70 asylum-seeking centers around Sweden, all around Sweden. Now we were no longer in one place in the woods twice a week. We were thinking national. And we would come with a show for inspiration, and then we would have a workshop afterwards, try out circus, and we would leave material, and we would leave a manual without words, so that they couldn't continue the training. And Postkodlotteriet, who are really skilled people, said it's a great idea, but could you work with method development? Of course, yes we can. And they wanted us to work with other art forms because we know that the will to work with this target group is big. And this was also at the end of 2015, where all these people came, and there was a spirit in society of how can we help, what can we do? So the enthusiasm was great. And they said that we think that you can inspire other art forms to give them like a crash course in how you can approach, how you can work with this target group. And as I know it, because I've been an actress for 20 years before coming to the circus and starting working more as behind the computer, I know that there's often talk about at the theater, we should have a summer camp, but it never happens. Because there's a big difference between artistic work and pedagogical work. And then when I came to the circus, I saw all these amazing artists educated at the dance and circus school, and they were also working on the floor with kids. And it was quite natural. It was not a problem. And to me, that is like the biggest thing with the circus, apart from the amazing things that you can do, is this circus heart, the combination of the artistic and the pedagogical work. It always makes me cry. So we had this application, and they said yes. Let me see. Wow. These are the artists. We should make this large. Where do I? You tried. These are the artists in period 2 and 3. We divided this 1.5-year project in 3 periods. This is Virginia Librado, and she's from Spain. She's a clown and a physical comedy actress, but also has a lot of circus skills and is a very highly trained teacher. It's Isak with the yellow nails. He's a handstand artist, educated at DOC, the Dance and Circus High School. And he's also one of our head trainers. He has a massive experience of teaching. It's Trevor Lewis, he has been working as a street artist since he was 19, and he's now in his 40s. He's a juggler and a clown and a musician. He's sort of all-round, and he has also been working with us in a previous project, developing, working with elderly at elderly homes, where also Inger participated. And it's Clara Sköldulf, and she's a young circus artist. She has been with us for several years. She has been to a circus school in Denmark and also studied political theater for 1 year. Very interesting combination. So now they're out on the 3rd period right now. Vad fan då? Förlåt. Nej, men nu hoppade den, vet du. Det här, teknik ska man aldrig lita på. So, we come to these places with the show. Then we have a workshop. At 10 in 10 cities, we stay for 1 week, and we have circus school for 1 week. And then we try to invite an art form working locally in that place. So it could be theater, it could be art, it could be a museum, it could be a film school. We try to find someone that also could continue the work in this city. This was one of the it was the only theater, interestingly enough, that hooked up with the ideas. I talked to many of them and many old colleagues, and they thought it was a great idea, but they could never find the staff and the time to do it. But in Helsingborg, can you read Swedish? Do you understand it, or should I translate it for you? Yeah, I will always remember the guy in Helsingborg who was really into juggling. They were kind of tough guys there. They brought a contact person who told me that Rolf was good at everything he did, like you told with Cirkus Magenta. He was one of these physical geniuses. He had never juggled before, and after 1 week he juggled with 5 balls. And that's, yeah. He was an incredible talent. He was really tough, but he hugged us and he said bye, and he said, I will miss you. And his contact person started to crying when he did that, because he was so strong and nothing he did usually. And then this guy was in Helsingborg. We had a show called Movements in Malmö. So when I went to Malmö to see Movements, we also invited Rauf and his friends from Helsingborg, so that they can come and see the show. And in Movements, all these guys are from Afghanistan and they're Hazar. And in Movements, we have a young boy that is in our high school training now to become a circus artist. And he started out in a youth project we had called Cirkör in the Hoods, where Isaac was the trainer. So we invited him, and he could see the show, and Javid came and spoke to them afterwards, and they spoke in their own language, and Rolf was constantly shaking like this, and he said, that thing, and he was referring to the Chinese pole that was in the show. This, when I lived in Iran, we did not have a roof, so I used to run up the wall and jump in, and my mother hit me every time, but I just couldn't, he just couldn't resist it. So now he was totally hooked on Chinese pole. So we will invite him to Stockholm with his friends and make him meet with 2 of our best Chinese pole teachers. And hopefully we will see him at the high school in a couple of years. And then he started showing Javid the pictures from this circus week that they had been doing. And he saw a picture of Isaac. And Javid said, but that's my old trainer. And the moment when Rolf realized that he had met someone, that this guy had seen on stage in Malmö in a big circus production, and that had trained for the same person, suddenly I think Sweden just became like a whole. It all connected. There are people in Stockholm knowing the guy that he met in Helsingborg, and they were all doing circus. It was like, I was just crying. Other things that they said, I remember one memory from Gotland I will especially remember. It was such a sweet little girl. She was maybe 4 years old. She didn't say a word during the whole week, and she didn't smile the first 2 days. She only looked at me deeply and seriously in the eyes all the time. And then she smiled to me at the end of the week. It was so wonderful to see. And that is, of course, also the knowledge of the clowns, that you can have now you can have a roof over your head, and you can have clothes, and you can have food, but without laughter you don't live. And that is maybe the most healing thing, is to laugh together and to do. In Finspång, it was important that the teachers got to see that the kids were capable. That is also something that we have realized during this project, and also with our own prejudices. We had lots of scary ideas before we started. Maybe no one will speak Swedish. How should we be able to communicate without words? They all spoke Swedish. They were great. They had learned it in 3 months. Maybe there will be a lot of violence. Maybe they will be very tough. And honestly, I have to say that the young kids that we usually meet at the asylum centers, they might be 15, 16, 17, and quite tough, but there's more joy and more warmth and more playfulness than I see in Swedish youths that we work with. And that's very interesting, that all these hardships that they have been through, They don't have this American gangsta hip-hop. Once we start playing with them and working with them, it's just so much connection and so much sweetness. And the kid got to meet other adults that were fun to play with, different adults. Their teacher were so boring, they were negative and sour. Yeah, they whistled on them with a whistle pipe. So when they didn't call them, they just go, they were horrible. The wrong computer. Boom. A video. Will it work this time? No. Den funkade förut när vi gjorde det här. Ja. So this is a trailer that we send to the refugee centers to explain what it is that we will be doing. Because saying that we will come with a show, they think that we need a stage like this. And of course, it is usually more likely that we will perform in something that looks like a living room with a low roof. So of course you cannot have aerial acrobatics and things like that. And also to try out circus, what is to try out circus? Will there be elephants? All that kind of questions. And just like a manual. So we do circus training, just like you do at Cirkus Magenta. There are the artists. Continue. There were several kids that you could see that they were affected of this. They got inspiration and a lot of pep from the artists, and that meant that they sort of stretched a little bit and they got a smile all over their face. There was especially one boy who was very sad when he came, but he laughed and smiled when he left. Laughter again. And thank you for choosing us to come. You're fantastic, and the work you do is not able to describe. You are the golden stars, blah, 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 blah. It was a success, and we saw many happy smiles. This is not the important thing. We also do events. And from the beginning, the idea was that if we come to a small town in the north of Sweden, maybe there are... everything is not working so smoothly, and we do a week of circus schools with the young kids that has arrived. What if the talk of the town becomes, now they get circus also? They get circus training. What does our kids get? They don't get circus training. So the idea was to end the week with a public event where you would invite the whole village and to see the show and to try out circus. So it would be that this place was given something for accepting these refugees. Sometimes we've been in really small places, in Umeå, far out in the countryside. There was a small village, but the whole village came, 220 people, and they brought coffee and food. So it ended up like a huge party together. We have been in Nordstan in Gothenburg, the big shopping mall, the day after the attack at Drottninggatan, so it was a little bit tense, but it was great that we were there. We have been to Almedalsbiblioteket, the great library in Visby, all the cultural house of Finspång. We've done several of these. And just last week we were at Folkoperan doing a big show. And it's also a way of spreading circus, but also to telling about the projects and Clowns Without Borders and Cirkus Cirkör. Heby also, yeah. We have been to Heby, we definitely have. Lots of press and mass media, that was interesting. And then it was this development of method. What really worked well, when it did work, it has worked when we were working with pedagogues who already had a model. We worked with Valand, Filmskolan Valand, och their barn- och filmenhet. They have worked a lot with this target group, so they had a method, and they could meet the circus artists who have a method, and then they would start to exchange. And they said we could have stayed a month. It was great. When it didn't work was with, in some places, working with drama teachers and dance teachers who were really shy, and they did not really have a method, and it was sort of more of them listening to what the circus teachers said, and they did not have the possibility to develop themselves. So it's not always a success. Some weeks are just really hard, and we will have to continue to working with them, and could you try this? And it doesn't really work. But as soon as we work with people who have a method or a planned way of working, then it's a great success. And also, of course, in the first period, did not work out so well. In the second period, a little better. And now in the third, it has been every time that we have these letters of people crying at Kalmar Art Museum that this was like the best thing that ever happened. And the people at Valand were very happy as well. So, of course, it's challenging. And again, the one art form that has been the most difficult to work with is theater, I'm sorry to say. And it struck me today when I was thinking that I was going to talk to you, that maybe we should have chosen not institutions, but worked with people working with impro. Because when you come to the institution, there's a text, there's a director, you sort of follow someone else that leads you, and they're not used to working in a pedagogical situation. But impro, I think, could have worked. So I give that one out for anyone who wants to try, working with impro and refugees, asylum seekers. Yeah, I have 1 minute left. Snyggt. The success in it is, of course, due to the circus, the art and the nature of circus, of the wow factor, of the pedagogical knowledge and the willingness to teach. Without the artists, pedagogues, this would not be such a successful project. What has been difficult is that many of these asylum refugee centers are really unexperienced of arranging things like this. It has been difficult to get the kids to come because they did not know what day and what time. So we made posters where there was a blank at the end so that they could write Wednesday, 5 o'clock. But still, very often we have to walk around in the place and doing like a parade to involve them. We've also had, in some places, difficulties to get the women to participate, that they sort of step back and they let the kids go and some of the young men try, but the women step back. And we've been working to challenge that and to invite them, and also invited groups with only women and children together. What is important, I think, in a project like this is that you cannot work without people that has a burning heart for it. So when we work with a local arranger, like in Heby, where you work, Inger, then it is just a success, and you know that it will live on in some way. But you cannot just come, do it, and expect it to continue. You have to have someone to carry it. And in that sense, I think very often it's sports organizations that have succeeded because they had this training. They don't pay their teachers. It's just dads and moms doing soccer training every Wednesday or playing hockey or whatever it is. And they sort of had this consistency of carrying it to continue carry it. And I think many cultural institutions and museums and different organizations should carry a much larger responsibility to invite this group and to arrange activities for them and to open the doors and to show Sweden. And when this project has worked the best, I think it is also a way of telling of the possibilities there is in this country. It's not that everybody's going to be a circus artist. It's not that everybody's going to start training circus. It's a really particular thing to train, and it hurts. It's a lot of fun also. But it is also a way of telling about Sweden. In Sweden, this exists. We do this. You also see, like you say, you see a man and a woman touching, and in a way that is not sexual, that is not, that is very respectful, that's based on trust, and that is in itself something really important to show that that is possible in this country. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. If anyone has questions or comments about either of these, come and
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah, hello. I think that I don't have a question for the moment, but I think I want to lift something that both of you said. I think it's important for all of us to walk away with the understanding of a few things when it comes to what integration actually is. Because, I mean, obviously you work with different groups, and the fact that you involve two groups in each other creates integration between these two groups. And this thing that you were talking about when it is about the importance of creating public events. Because I think, and it became clear to me because I have been working with an integration, I have been working on the theme of integration with 15-year-olds in north of Stockholm now, where I live. And it was so clear that almost half of the 15-year-old students, they didn't know what integration was. And when I did the research before this project, I was asking everybody, I was talking to everybody I knew, like integration, what's integration for you? And I spoke to some people who were like 25-year-olds and grown-up adults out working, and they were like, when I first said, what's integration for you? What do you think about it? And they were like, I hardly know what it is, you know? And when it comes to language, I think actually it's quite common that people believe that assimilation is integration. And it's such a huge difference that for me, I think what I'm trying to come to now is to the importance of going behind the exercises. Like, what are we actually trying to create, which for me is equality. And when we do things that spark competition, also in Swedish society, if we are not listening to the signs, people that have not had an easy ride also in Sweden, and all of a sudden it's like we come and we aim integration projects at the immigrants, and all of a sudden it's like, now they get advantages, and I am not as disadvantaged, so now I don't get the advantages. Then what we are creating is not integration, it's really the opposite. And yeah, so when it comes to language, and there is this thing of the two coming from two ways, no, it's not one group adapting to another group. So when we say like how to use circus, for example, as a way into the society, it reflects a one-sidedness which is not actually what we mean, but if we are not careful with how we talk about it, we will create the opposite of what we want to achieve. And yeah, so to just, when we go away and we do all of our work, to really be really careful about how we use the language, and also to be really aware that it's very important to invite everybody. I think basically if everything we do, if we create projects, because it's so also in fashion now, like if you apply for money saying that I want to make an integration project and I'm aiming at this group of people, like everything that is aimed just towards one group of people is not creating integration.
Yeah.
So like Circus in the Hoods, for example, that was more like breaking down the barriers.
Yeah.
Then the people felt that they could come also to the circus hall. It's like it needs to be open for everybody, but we also need to see how can we break down the barriers so that people can
I think
come.
if I was listening right, and then in all our projects, the idea is having different people work together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no point.
And what we actually forgot to kind of highlight this word disadvantaged, because it's stigmatizing. But we usually say that at a particular moment. So for instance, now in this preparing class, it's a mixed group of girls and boys, and there are a few girls who are not used to doing sports or anything with their bodies at all. So half of the term in the circus, we are working only with the girls to kind of encourage them, and then we bring along the rest. So you give support, and then you have to be careful with what you're doing at which moment,
Yeah.
So there is like this special needs, which might mean that, okay, now I need encouragement with X, whatever.
And we are at this moment doing a collaboration with the mosque that is situated next to us. So after Elin is working with that, and that is all the kids going to Saturday school, studying the Quran, but they also do it on Sundays because this place is so popular, so they also have Sunday school. So they come earlier and they train circus. We have 2 classes and it's free because this is a low-income area. And the imam is the one organizing it together with us, and it's boys and girls training together. And I realized my own prejudice that after the Friday prayer one day, people passed by and I was like, oh, let's come in and have a look. And this man in very traditional clothing and with his wife and his daughters, he said, oh, she's already training there. When will the course start again? And I was like, yeah. Great, soon, in 2 weeks. So my own idea of that they had never been into the circus was of course wrong, because she was already training and she loved it. And that was not a problem for him. So it's all the time, it's also us. And it's building these connections and bridges and to surprise each other. Yeah. Joel.
Yes, it's a reflection more than a comment. And first of all, I want to say thank you for this project, the Swedish project. It's fantastic to see the Finnish also. And I also want to add that it's an epic project. Cirkus Cirkör and Clowns Without Borders are working together for the first time in 20 years. So in the circus world, I think it's epic. I just want to say share some experience of working with integration, and this. I think there is a key because circus is such a strong tool. We were in this group here working, and somehow we came closer to each other on a deeper level. Someone said, on a very short time, we built trust. But for me, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm trying this now, but I've been working with other methods to get people together, now we should learn how to integrate and so on. And if you have, and with that purpose, and what I think that circus has is this, that you come there and you don't kind of have that purpose. Well, you can if you want. There is this freedom of choosing, not trying to force people together. So I think it's, and I think that circus artists themselves have it in them. They are kind of working their body. What's your purpose? Yeah, I'm trying to be better on this trapeze or juggling. So they don't care so much if people go together or not. But I think it's a risk also if we use circus too much as like forcing people together. But I loved your way of working in this freedom and feeling. Yeah, really. Yeah. Someone can continue.
I just have to remember my English. I'm trying to work on a project right now with my group of people who are new to Sweden and have physical disabilities. And I've tried one term, and the thing I encounter as well is I said, well, let's have a group that we all speak Arabic. We have disability as a common denominator. Yes, and everybody was excited. And as soon as we started, nobody wanted to be in the group because they didn't want to meet anybody else who was Arab and had a disability, because they thought they would have prejudice against me because I have no legs, no arms, or I have this and this. But at the end, they said, we want to go out, we want to do things, they wanted to present themselves. And I know that Cirkus Cirkör work a lot with people who have physical disabilities. I just wanted to hear your experience of it, if you could share.
Right now, we don't do that much work towards people with disabilities, funktionsvariationer, but we are in a big research on how we will continue that work further on. We've had term courses, and we do specific tailored events for different groups, but we don't have like big term courses or really regular work. I think that we need to focus more on working inside the special schools with their gymnastic classes. I think that we should work with, as they call it in this area, majority schools, sort of with the normal kids, and classes and schools with people with disadvantages, so that you should combine them to get the meeting, and to build a bridge over this. This is us. We have a separate, we have this, and we do this in our own group, so that they should meet. But I think that's also circus, even there is extremely powerful, pedagogical tool to work with this group. Because you can juggle, even if you only have one hand. You can juggle with your eyes. There are so many different levels of working with that. Elin is one of our best teachers working for people with disadvantages. So we have people with lots of knowledge, but not enough work for them right now. But we will have it. But you can talk to Elin.
Yeah. Also, it depends on the perspective of the circus organization. I think, like we've had a one-legged woman in a regular hobby group for adults, doing everything but applied some stuff differently. She did have prosthetic. But then she couldn't use it for acrobatics, for jumping, because if she does this, it comes off. It's the way to get it off your leg. So she was just doing stuff without, rather.
Yeah. Or a blind guy in our handstanding.
Yeah, totally
also.
Blind guy in our handstanding class. And he first...
I mean, he sees shapes. I think.
He sees something, but not very much.
Yeah.
And then he came to some workshop. This we actually did in a visually
organization.
Organization. So everyone had visual impairity. I don't know what words to use in English.
Yeah.
But after that group, he phoned me and he said, "Oh, I really got excited about the circus and the acrobatic parts, especially. Can I come to your handstanding class?" And I said, "Of course. Like, come and try it out and see how it works for you." So it's possible. I think in some circumstances you might need someone to help you, like an assistant, if you need a lot of support. Maybe if there's only one teacher in the whole class. But I think it's good for everyone in the class to notice that, you can do this even if you can't see. You just use different strengths. Yeah.
Also, right now we're thinking about, because we used to have a mixed group, funkis, and then we realized that we have 1 with Downs, we have 3 with Asperger, we have 4 with severe ADHD, and that combination in one room is not good. It's not good for anyone, because some of them need so much activity and the other ones need a really closed and soft space. Like we said in your exercise, one does not like to be touched. and one has a lot of energy. And if you combine them, you need lots of teachers, and you need possibilities to divide them and also to take them together. So that's also one of the things that we're thinking of, if we should have specific classes.
We also do have, in some circumstances, maybe some organization has wanted us to go and give them family circus classes, then they decide who is the group.
Yep.
But maybe the group has children with disabilities and then their parents, it's a family circus class. Sometimes other siblings also, so in that way it is a mixed class.
2 questions?
We are almost out of time. But,
so we have like 3 minutes.
I just had a feeling with your circus, you were around a lot, but also that it felt like there was a home in the circus. Like you said that some people grow up and like got teachers, and so do you have a certain space, or where is this home? Is it just you, or
the home is us, our group of people. No, we have an office.
We are a little bit special needs ourselves.
Yes, isn't
so
everyone?
We've created this place for ourselves, but we have an office where we also have all our gear, and then we have a training every week where
training slot in one place where all our trainers come at the same time and train together. Otherwise, we work in a lot of different spaces. We might rent one space many times a week, but our circus trainers meet in the common training once a week.
Yeah, but the thing is that quite often, if we work with a certain group for a period of time, and then there is someone who gets really into circus, so we try to welcome them. So we always have, for instance, we work a lot with youth at risk, so these youngsters who don't study or work. So if any one of them is interested, we offer them work placements and these sort of things. So I think we do give kind of special support for people who
are more committed, more interested.
And if they they might have issues, so we try to So, but I don't know. We have kind of a strong community.
Maybe it's good also to not have a place, to building the community instead of.
One day we will.
It's
soon-ish.
I was just sitting here thinking of a new project that someone could apply for money, and I think that we should, I really mean it, it sounds cynical, but I think if we could do this kind of projects with another target group, and that is our politicians. And I really, really mean it, and we are doing it a little bit at Cirkör. It's not that we have project for politicians, but each time we make the structures and the decision makers understand what I think all of us understood here today by the practical work, then people can start being creative themselves and understand what circus can contribute with for the society and for the world, if we want to be really big in words. Because I think the sad thing is that it's in the arts and culture world, people don't know what circus can contribute with. So maybe this is like a little last word for all of us to think of, how we can make it more understandable for the people who make decisions. So we don't just have projects here, projects there, like it is now.
Structures. Lobbying. I think we can stop here. Take your right hand, make a hunter. Take your left hand, make a rabbit. The rabbit is jumping away from the hunter who's running a straight line. He's not jumping. When they go really far, they change roles because it's a game.
The hunter doesn't.
Hunter is not jumping. Remember, hunter is not jumping. Hunter is running. Hunter is running. Make it faster. Excellent. Good. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. Clara Norman from Cirkus Cirkör, and thank you for excellent collaboration. And thank you, Hanne and Silja from Sirkus Magenta, and thank you all guys for coming and sharing and doing some circus art here. So thank you very much. I hope to see you soon, somewhere.